third-party controller. So this one has a pretty similar build. In fact, this one is what's called a retro remix. So this guy is supposedly made to the same effect as the N64 of old. This is one that I bought because I wanted, to have my regular purple controller. I've always had a purple controller growing up. So when I saw it, I'm like, okay, well, I have to have it. I actually have the exact purple controller that I had growing up. And that joystick was one of the first actual repairs that I ever did. Because I told my dad that it's a lot cheaper just to buy a new joystick and repair it. So I bought that joystick, and it was the first thing I ever actually fixed, funnily enough. And it's still working to this day. So we're going to take apart this one and see the difference between the controller, the internals, and also the controller of old. But essentially it uses the same screws, so I believe they're interchangeable. The only difference is that these ones have a bit of a point at the end, but I don't think that should really matter. They're the same size. Yeah, there's a little tiny point at the end of the screw. I don't know how well you can see it on this webcam. Now, I got something holding me back. Seems I forgot a screw. And remember how I said to not mix up those screws? Well, guess who did? Alright, so this guy comes off. Though the Z-bun's not as securely as before. Not to mention it's designed a little bit differently. But that's to be expected. So this is kind of a newer design of the controller. It uses the actual digital accelerometer by the looks of it, which I think is fundamentally why I actually hate it. Because the N64's 3D movement is entirely analog. So we're going to do a further disassembly on this. The plastic, though, from the outside it feels the same, but from the inside it doesn't. And it's kind of one of those things that's hard to really explain unless you're actually holding it. Like, this guy, not to say its quality is bad, it just doesn't feel the same. And this one actually goes around that metal, that pull. It's also a bit harder to pull out too. But yeah, you can actually see the digital thing over there. Hang on, I'm just trying to remove the screw. So you can see the digital thingy over there. I don't know how far I can actually take this apart. Actually, I should be able to take it fully apart. This guy should pull off. There we go. To show you guys even further. But there's 3 screws over here. The one thing it's always a good habit of is keeping track of your screws, where they come from, and where they go. Because that's always a big key. So that's your Z button over there, and this is what the controller actually looks like. So as you can see, there's 2 digital accelerometers, I believe, and then that's actually what causes our... But the factor that it's so stiff, that's the thing that I hate about it. It just feels very, very stiff. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. So on this one, there's a little tab indicator thingy that that it goes on. Just like the original N64 controller, they're set up in such a way so that you can't mix up the L and R buttons. So we're just putting this guy back together.